What?
Sorry, I wasn't...
Oh, I beg your pardon. And there are, as you know, people who make money out of paying management people to take courses in teamwork, and it seems it's very, very important that even when you're shouting loudly, you should hear what the other person is saying.
Load of bollocks.
You should have seen me when I first saw this, because if there is a profession, it is that of people who basically get management people to pay them to tell them the art of the soap operas. It makes your nose bleed. When you're speaking, it's really important that people hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know, we do a 4-week course on this.
The one I like is the people who come around to your house and give you advice on what to do to it so it will sell.
Oh, really?
Especially when you don't want to sell it.
Yeah.
Yes. Particularly annoying.
Went in the toilet, put the toilet seat, the lid down. I said, lid down when showing.
Oh, really? So no floating solids. I always tell my clients
Flush
that.
it first.
Yes.
I would stop the family doing handstands in the shower.
It's a living B-day.
Pay the full price for colonic irrigation. Don't do it like that.
I'll tell you something, we're being very critical here, but the next time I'm in a situation where I have to shout out a colour simultaneously with a lot of other people, I'm going to pay a lot more attention.
Yeah. That's good to know. That's, you're advancing.
I said blue, but really I meant red.
I also...
That's really difficult.
I also don't think that works, because I think there's parts of your psyche that means if you're making a noise, you can't hear the noise.
I think that would make choral singing an impossibility, if that were true.
That's true. That's true.
Especially when they do that I Can Sing a Rainbow song.
Yes.
You know, it might surprise you, I've not been in a lot of choirs. But no, that's a good point. But I've lived that life where we've had... Because I used to have a normal life in a corporate world, corporate sector, and I've been on training days.
Oh, you've actually been on these bloody things. And were they all absolute?
There's just... I mean, there's some parts of it that you think, this could be good, yeah, I can see what's going on here, where they say, look, you know, there's an issue within the company, you've all got different views, why don't you draw a picture? All get together. Instead of talking about, let's draw a picture, you go, what are we going to draw a picture? Just anything that comes into your mind. Not a cock. Apparently... It's getting to the bottom of a corporate infrastructure, cock drawing and saying, that's you, doesn't really help. And we had all these things, and honest to God, you do get to it and you start looking at these people and think, you live your life like this. You can see them going home to the kids saying, come on, you know, I could make you tea, but wouldn't it be better if you made your tea? Oh. Wouldn't you feel better as a team if we made tea together? Oh. Wouldn't it be better if tea didn't exist? Let's all think, draw your tea. Yeah. And let's remove it as an issue.
Well, it's just becoming rapidly more clear there are many people on Earth who need to be killed, and nearly all of them are management consultants. Hopefully that classic piece of management school trickery will have taught you all a valuable lesson about the importance of listening. So listen to this. What is an interrobang?
Is it the way you ask a question, and some people, like the Australians, finish all their sentences like it's a question?
Oh,
it's the lift,
you mean they speak
inflection.
as if everything's a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes up at the end?
Yeah.
No, it isn't that. They sometimes call that the AQI, the Australian question intonation, but that's not it. It's a punctuation mark that had a brief vogue, and it consisted of a question mark, which is the interro part, and a bang is a printer's name for an exclamation mark. And there it is, that's how it looked. And it was...
I love it.
It's rather good, isn't it? Yeah. You should use it, because you know that sometimes when you're typing a letter and you want to go, what the heck, you know? And it's sort of not really a question, but because it begins with what the, you think maybe it should be a question. And that's the symbol that
people do it. You do see
Yeah.
people, they'll put a question mark and then an exclamation mark to kind of make that point.
Precisely. And there were, in the 1960s, at a brief vogue, and there were typewriters that had it as a character. And it does exist as a Unicode character in the ASCII set.
What does that mean when sometimes you see a question mark upside down on a text? What does that mean?
Well, in Spain, of course, they do that.
But one at the start.
Is that what it is?
It means someone's in the shower. Just get...
In Spain, a question begins with an upside down and ends with a right way up one. And indeed, they did an upside down in Terabang, which was known as a gnabaretni, which is just in Terabang backwards.
A gnabaretni?
Gnabaretni, yeah. There was the sarcastrophe, which is a little like a circumflex accent the French used to have, what's called a carrot, you know, little sort of little hat shape, and you'd put that. Oh, that is really funny outside the really would indicate that you were being sarcastic.
I'll tell you what has always frustrated me, and that is that on a standard typewriter keyboard, that when you hit the semicolon,
yes,
it's just you just have to hit the key, but to get the colon you have to press that other key. If I was a colon, I'd think surely I take precedence in this. You are merely a semi version of me. I should be the one that just needs one key.
I share your pain, Frank.
Yes.
I've stayed up till dawn with whiskey going, why?
No, but I'll tell you what, it's led me to an overuse of the hyphen.
That's right.
Because now, instead of going all round the houses to the colon, I think, oh, I'll put a hyphen, they'll know what I mean.
Don't go down that track, Frank. Get off the hyphen now, son. There's people here for you. You don't have to go hyphen, innit? We can support you through it. We're friends here, Frank. You know your hyphen will just wear out. Unless you regularly put some cream on it.
The alternative is to
It'll be hanging down by your knees before you know it.
I don't want to be using a semicolon instead of what should be a colon, just out of laziness.
To be honest, I wouldn't know when you should use a colon or a semicolon.
No one uses a semicolon. That's why you don't have a semicolonic irrigation. That's messy.
I believe that's the technical term for standing on your head in the shower.
Yes, the interrobang might be a useful new punctuation mark. And now, let's play...
How ironic is that?
Yes, I'm going to outline some situations, and all you have to do is to tell me how ironic they are and why. OK.
Is it out of 100?
No, you can just give me a sort of sense of just exactly how ironic you think they are.
I'm just worried about how we grade the irony.
OK.
I would say shiny.
Shall I tell you?
Down to rusty.
Shall I tell you what the shades of irony supposedly are? Because I think what we're getting at is the word irony is often weirdly misused. People say, ironically, he wasn't there, or something. You know, just, you mean...
Invisible Man?
Yeah. So, there's verbal irony.
He was there.
Verbal irony, the opposite of what's as clear as mud, or, oh, this is a fine state of affairs, or whatever, which is slightly less than sarcasm. That's verbal irony. There's comic irony. Dr. Strangelove, gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room, for example, is a kind of ironic remark. That's considered generally ironic. Dramatic irony.
Little does he know that I'm...
Yeah, the audience knows Oedipus is the very murderer that he's hunting, as it were. It's a dramatic irony.
As in dive thoughts down to my soul, here Clarence comes.
That's just the kind of thing with Richard III and others. Yes, very good.
Ladies and gentlemen, an all-round entertainer.
And then there's Socratic irony, which is pretending to be dumber than you are, like a sort of, like Socrates, or like Columbo, Lieutenant Columbo, of the greatest ever detective. Oh, God, isn't that the greatest ever show?
Like Socrates or Lieutenant Columbo.
Yeah. Well, I would be hard put to say...
I know they both did that, but beyond that, I haven't really...
I'd be hard put to say which was greater. I do happen to think Columbo is the greatest television series ever made.
Do you know, Stephen, I absolutely agree with that.
I'm glad to hear you.
I once spent a long night with David Baddiel having an argument about whether Columbo had one eye or not.
Right, Peter Falk, you mean? Yeah.
Well, no.
Or Columbo.
This was the debate. My argument was that Peter Falk does indeed have one eye, but in Columbo, that eye plays the part of a real eye.
Yes! I think there's truth in that.
Yeah.
I absolutely
Columbo
agree.
has two eyes.
That's how good he was, I agree.
And what... How did this argument go on for so long? Was it like Women in Love?
Dave wasn't having it. He wouldn't have it.
He wouldn't have it? No. Were you wrestling naked in front of a fire? Women in Love?
Well, that was how we had to decide it in the end. We couldn't find a coin.
No.
So what is this ironic? John Kendrick was an American sea captain who put into Honolulu Harbour in 1794 and was killed by the cannon which was fired to salute him. Now, we have this down as situational and arguably comic irony, though the audience was very sympathetic, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
That's fairly ironic.
It's pretty ironic, isn't it? We'll
I
accept
think it's
that
almost
as irony.
spangly. That's almost up in the spangly section.
Yes, yes. Well, now, what about Clement Vallandigham, who was an Ohio lawyer who died in 1871 while defending a man who was accused of murder during a barroom brawl? Now, in order to show the jury how the pistol might have gone off accidentally, this lawyer grabbed a gun, put it in his pocket, and reenacted the events as he imagined them. And sure enough, the pistol went off.
Shot by a cannon?
No, the pistol went off, and he was killed by the gun in exactly the way that he was describing. So, just before he died from his own wounds, his client was acquitted.
And the good thing is his client didn't have to pay.
No, exactly. It's kind of perfect. Situational irony, I think that would be called. But now, what about this Lincoln? Abraham Lincoln was shot while sitting in Ford's theatre, while Kennedy was shot while sitting in a Ford Lincoln. And there are many other coincidences like that. But that's just simply coincidence, not irony.
Reagan was shot in Washington, and Washington was shot with a ray gun.
If only that were true. It would almost be worth inventing a time machine and going back with a ray gun just to do that.
It's true, but nobody knew what a ray gun was then.
No.
So they just went, what's that?
There you are. Now, I have a picture. Is this ironic? Tell me if this is there something ironic about that? That you basically cut all the wool off a sheep and then knit it together again and put it back on. Yeah.
It's more ironic that we look at it and go, and then go,
Mint
I saw an advert from a meat supplier, and it said, caring for pork from farm to fork. And I just thought, there's a certain point where you just go, you're not really caring.
Not really caring.
I wouldn't call that caring when you're just going...
To me,
with the eyeballs to make sausages.
All right.
Stuff off the side.
I'm going to come across another ironic... This is rather ironic. In 1989, in America, convicted murderer Michael Godwin had his sentence reduced to life imprisonment after 5 years awaiting the electric chair. But he was then accidentally electrocuted while sitting naked on a steel lavatory seat in his cell in Colombia. He was trying to fix his television set. He bit into a wire and was electrocuted. That is a kind of cosmic irony, really.
That's not irony, that's God's will.
It's God's will. I think you may well be right. That's irony for you. The things we call irony often really aren't that ironic. Ironically, or not. Now, for some inside information, what's inside this? Anyone can tell me? It's a natural thing.
Well, it looks like a coconut.
It could be an elephant turd, couldn't it?
It could be. It isn't. This thing is actually a nut. Weirdly, the things inside it are not nuts, but the things inside it are familiar to all of us as nuts. This is how these grow. Here they are.
Oh, Brazil nuts.
Brazil nuts. They grow inside. These are actually seeds, but we call them nuts. Biologically, these are the seeds, and they grow inside this, which is the nut. They grow on top of the tree. They're very heavy. They fall down. They've been known to kill people. But it's a very strange life cycle they have, because this tree cannot be cultivated, so they're only wild. So it's only wild trees that produce these nuts, inside which are the Brazils. And they can only be pollinated by a very particular bee. And that bee will only be able to pollinate it if there is, in the area, a very particular orchid. So there's a really strange kind of chain of necessary life situations in order for us to get our purple quality street, essentially. There is something unique as well about the Brazil nut. As you probably know, there are people who are allergic to nuts. But the Brazil nut, uniquely, amongst all the nuts, this is really unfortunate, is you can sexually transmit Brazil nut to a partner. That is to say, if a male has eaten a Brazil nut and they inseminate a person who is allergic, that person's allergy will be affected by it.
Oh, that's a good murder plot,
Isn't it?